The case in question is NJRPC versus Davenport. That case was originally filed in 2018. And so we have been litigating on that case for nearly 10 years. And that was on appeal with the Bruin case. It was one of the cases that got quote unquote GVR'd after Bruin. So it was on appeal with the Supreme Court. They decided the Bruin case, and then they basically sent it back down to the Third Circuit and said, do this over in light of the fact that we just ruled in Bruin. You need to reevaluate this case. And so it has been in a state of flux, as I said, for nearly a decade at this point. And after a decade of hard work and a lot of money, we finally have achieved a victory on that issue. So
the victory was what? The size of the magazine? Was that?
Both. So it struck down New Jersey's assault firearm restrictions as it relates to rifles.
Okay.
And it struck down New Jersey's ban on quote unquote large capacity magazines, which the state defines as anything that holds more than 10 rounds.
Okay.
So.
Right. Yeah. So that's a big deal. And will that go national across the country, or what's the future of
the timing on this issue is particularly interesting because at the close of the last Supreme Court term, the Supreme Court granted cert in two cases. One called Viramontes, the other called Grant versus Lamont, which were both challenges to Cook County's restrictions on assault weapons, which is out of Illinois, and then Connecticut's ban on assault weapons. So the Supreme Court has granted cert. Oral arguments are going to be heard on those cases this fall.
Okay.
And come next June, most folks that are watching this, even our opponents are, would recognize that in light of the way the Supreme Court has been ruling on the issue, they're very likely going to strike down both Illinois and Connecticut's assault weapon bans next June, and that will obviously settle the issue here in New Jersey too. The state did request a stay in the case, so the gun owners in New Jersey can't quite run out to the store and buy standard magazines or buy non-neutered assault weapons just yet. But that is
issue to stay against their own decision.
Yeah, so it is common for if a party in a case like this is going to seek review by a higher court, it is just sort of common practice for a circuit court to stay its decision pending the decision by the Supreme Court as to whether or not they're going to grant cert. And in all likelihood, because the Supreme Court's already granted cert on the issue, they will likely take New Jersey's appeal and hold on to it until they've decided both Viramontes and Grant next year. But it is extremely influential on the Supreme Court in that, circuit courts in other parts of the United States, like the Ninth Circuit, the Seventh Circuit, Ninth Circuit being California, Seventh Circuit being Illinois, and Fourth Circuit down in Maryland, they have consistently found that even in light of Bruin, that these quote unquote assault weapon bans are somehow consistent with the Second Amendment. The Third Circuit is the first circuit court in the United States that has ruled the other way and said, we're going to faithfully apply Supreme Court jurisprudence on this issue. And in doing so, we find that these laws are unconstitutional.
Wow. There are a couple other terms maybe our audience would like to know about before we're moving along. We've got maybe 8 to 10 minutes left. There are a couple other terms we wanted to talk about. Suppressors?
Yep.
What is this? Can you give us 2 or 3 lines on what is the law regarding suppressors? What is that?
Sure. So a suppressor is an attachment to a firearm that reduces the report of the firearm. Now, again, this is another term and another, the other side would typically refer to those as silencers. Hollywood has done an incredible job completely misrepresenting what suppressors actually do. They do not actually make a firearm silent. So the things you've seen in James Bond movies are just, there's no nexus to reality in any of that. A suppressor is nothing more than the functional equivalent of the muffler that's on your car. In fact, Maxim Percy, the person who invented the suppressor, also invented the muffler for your car.